What's going on, guys? It's Parker back with a new video, and today we're going to be doing some more alternate history scenarios. So this one is, what if France won the Franco-Prussian War? In 1870, the North German Confederation, a Prussian-dominated federation of German states, went to war with France. This was due to the Prussians gaining a claim on the Spanish throne, and the French Emperor Napoleon III asked them to relinquish the claim and all future claims on the Spanish crown. William I, King of Prussia, did give up the claim, but did not give up future claims due to the fact he could not control future governments. The French misread the response, potentially due to Otto von Bismarck, Chancellor of Germany, or North Germany, sending the letter very aggressively and provocatively, and declared war. France declared war. The Prussians dominated the war and captured Napoleon III. In short, Paris fell, another French Revolution, and the German Empire was declared in Paris on I believe it was January 18th, 1871. Bismarck's plan had been to make France the aggressor, so the small southern German states would see Prussia as the victim, and that would allow them to unify Germany. In this timeline, that does not happen. France dominates the war and wins easily. This we have to make quite a few changes. Napoleon III was not Napoleon I, and the Prussian army was amazing, and it always was. To change this, we make Napoleon III a military genius, and give him some excellent generals. Also, Napoleon III's son, Louis Napoleon, eventually Napoleon IV, is advising along his father. Louis Napoleon was killed in 1879 by Zulu warriors in South Africa while he was, I think he was on advisory duty with the British military. We can also give Bavaria, a historic French ally, to the French and have them fight with France. Bavaria might also want to unite the South German states and would call upon the Southern German states unifying into the South German Confederation. Anyway, on the outside of the war, French victories in the Saarland lead the French to invade Germany, cross the Rhine, and Bavarian armies defeat the Prussians in Saxony. The Prussians retreat, leaving the Rhineland to France, and France eventually will push into Hanover. Bavaria pushes towards Berlin, and the Prussians will sue for peace. Prussia would cede all lands west of the Rhine to France, and will relinquish claims on the Spanish throne. They also allow the formation of a South German Confederation under Bavaria. Afterwards, Napoleon III would place a puppet on the Spanish throne, and Spain would be ruled either in a personal union, or they'd be dependent on France economically and militarily. So, when I talk about France in this video, just add on Spain to the end of it. With Louis Napoleon surviving, he would marry a granddaughter or daughter of Queen Victoria. Literally, Victoria loved marrying off her children. And that would secure a Franco-British alliance. An anti-German alliance at that. With Napoleon III being wiser, he would still recognize Prussia as a threat and would allow the British to keep them down. Prussia would move closer to Austria and Russia. With tensions rising across Europe, some crises would occur. King Wilhelm II of Prussia, who would be cousins with Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, and close friends with Franz Joseph of Austria, would form the Central Powers. The motive of this alliance would be for Austria to move into Italy like Venice, Prussia to retake the Rhineland and unify Germany, and Russia to expand into India. The Franco-British alliance, led by Napoleon IV and King George V, Italy would also be part of the Franco-British bloc due to a rivalry with Austria-Hungary. Bavaria would also develop into a French ally or a French puppet state. The alliance would also be a defensive reaction to keep Prussia from being a unifying force, as I said earlier. At the onset of the war, Prussia would invade the Rhineland in an attempt to seize it before the British arrived. In this world, remember, France had a long line of military geniuses, and with the Bonaparte line being known for the military strategy. The French generals would dig in and defend from across the Rhine, destroying bridges and forcing Prussia to have to almost like pontoon bridge across. It would develop similarly with trench warfare, and Russia would invade the Raj through Afghanistan and fight the Japanese in Manchuria, as the Japanese were British allies in this era. With the Treaty of London, the towns would be brought into the war and fight the Austrians in the Alps. Prussia would be blockaded, and since the Anglo-German naval arms race would never happen, as the Prussians would be focused on their army after the defeat by France, if the Prussians tried to send out their navy to break the blockade, it would be decisively defeated by the Royal Navy. The war would come down to if the Prussians can push the French back into France, or if the French can push the Prussians back across the river. If the French could push across the Rhine, Prussia will lose. The Alpine front, I think, will stall into a stalemate, as both armies are equally incompetent, and in Manchuria, Japan would once again push the Russians back, and Vladivostok would fall. Now, without Lenin being sent to Russia, there'll be a revolution, but not a communist one. Either a Slavic nationalist dictatorship, or some sort of socialist full democracy that would likely eventually fall to a dictatorship would be placed in control. If the Prussian U-boats drew the US into the war, it would be over. the peace treaty would be similar to Versailles, as the French would not be that similar to Versailles, as the French would not want revenge for the Franco-Prussian War. Austria would be allowed to live as a potential United States of Austria, which was proposed by Franz Ferdinand, as he would still be alive in this timeline. Prussia would be forced to pay large reparations and give territory to Bavaria, Poland, and Denmark, just like our timeline. I don't know what would happen for World War II, so I will end this here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm going to see you guys later. Goodbye!